Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live Team Alliance training session for Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. Time right now is approximately 10:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before we get started with tonight's training, as usual, I would like to welcome our new students. Those of you joining us in training for the first time, whether you're in attendance with us live or you're watching the replay of this, you have definitely made a very solid, wise decision by choosing to train with us. The time for losing is over. Many of you have come here because you are losing in the market and you're sick and tired of it and you want to figure out how to stop losing. Well, the answer to that is here. So welcome. What you're going to learn here is the framework that we use for interpreting the market, the way that we look at the market, and then what we do specifically with that information as it pertains to the instrument that we trade, which are the 5-minute binary options on this Nadex platform. The 5-minute binaries are a powerful tool because they allow us to capitalize on our understanding of the actual market itself. The reason that that's powerful is because understanding the market and being able to interpret its actual behavior and the way that it moves, that's the key to trading successfully over the long term as far as being profitable. Not knowing that is the difference. So basically being in the know is what separates us from everyone else who's losing. So for that reason, it behooves you to follow the training the way that it's laid out. So literally everything that I tell you to do, just do it. There's a reason I'm telling you to do it, all right, which has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. Oh, well, he told me to stop using all of my Forex tools, man. I'm not getting rid of my Bollinger Bands. Get rid of it. When you're on this platform, you don't need anything else. You literally don't even need the chart. Tonight, I'm actually covering some things where I'm going to pull up the chart because I want to make things a little visual for the newer people, and it's going to help you guys, all right? Those of you who are new, inside the playlist that I shared with you, there are 3 trainings that I want you to begin with. The first one is 336, second one is 396, the last one is 301. By the time you get to training 301, you definitely should have a pair of earbuds by that time, if you don't have some already. And 301 should literally be playing in the earbuds every day, even on the weekends. When you have an opportunity to just press play, even if you're not watching the video, just listen to the training. Before you go to bed, put your earbuds in, even if it's only one. Press play and go to bed. What's going to happen is this process is going to teach you the framework at the subconscious level. Your intellect won't interfere with that because you're doing it subconsciously. The more of that you do, the more light bulbs that you get, and the sooner that they come. Light bulbs as in, oh wow, I understand that now. Man, I listened to this 10 times. This is the first time I actually heard that. These are light bulb moments that you'll get. And what it is understanding and clarity of the information. All right, so trust in the process that I'm giving you because it works and it's effective. All right, don't take for granted that you don't have to do it and I ain't doing all of that. Just do it. Okay, you want to learn what we're doing? Do that. All right, so in the training tonight, I'm going to be doing a combination of the quick glance, and I'm also going to implement the range of stability that I started talking about a few trainings back. I did like 3 trainings where I kind of touched on it, but I want to delve more into stability. I feel that more clarity has come and even more will come that's going to elevate you so that you understand the importance of it. If you start focusing on stability, you'll focus less on parameters. And I'm not saying not to focus on parameters. I'm saying not to focus on parameters first. Keep parameters in the rear where it belongs. That's why it's part of the third phase. It's part of the last phase. You should only be applying parameters once the market is stable. So your recognition of stability is more important than your application of parameters. And I hope that that's clear. Okay, so I know that many of you, just like, you know, you saw the Juice Man training yesterday, some of y'all doing that. Y'all need to cut it out. All right? You need to relax. When it comes to looking at the market, I know that you look at, you know, all of these numbers and you seeing flash and you're like, oh, is that a setup? Oh, is that a trade? That looks like a trade. Let me take that, see what happens. You got to get out of the habit of doing that. If you create those bad habits now, you'll do that when you go live. You'll do it. And you don't want to do it. All right? By the time you go live, you want to be so clear that your discipline is at a point where you don't do nothing except ultimately take a trade and win. And the only reason that you're taking a trade is because the market literally handed you the trade. You didn't have to take the trade. Okay, you more so received the trade that the market gave to you. All right? So that's that. That's where we're headed. That's where we're moving. All right, so I'm gonna be doing stuff. So I want you to look at what I'm doing, and if I ask you a question, then you can respond. But if I don't, just bear with me, because I want to show you certain things that I want to bring your attention to. Certain things I want to bring your attention to. Let me see something real quick. Alright, so you'll see me do stuff like this. If I pull up the chart, it's because I'm looking at something in particular, visually. The only reason I'm pulling up the chart is because of what I've done already by looking at the market first. I'm not just looking at charts. Matter of fact, I'm not even looking at the chart at all, unless there's a reason to look. Okay, so you know that the process begins at the minute and 30 mark. So right around the minute and 30 mark is when I'm going to start looking. If I have a reason to look further, I'll pull up the chart, and then I'm going to go into what I want you guys to become more aware of as it pertains to ranges. Okay? And also, if you guys have questions in the interim, you can interject in the chat and ask whatever your questions are, you know, regardless of what the question might be. And yeah, this is for everyone, yes. Juice WRLD is composed of all the tears from all the losers in the market. Don't disagree with that. All right, and I may throw in some exams too in between, but I really want to focus on what I want you guys to see. Now, if I don't see it, I'm not pulling up the chart. If I do see it, I am pulling up the chart. If you see me close the chart right away, I didn't see what I wanted to see. If I keep the chart up, I'll go further. So I'm saying these things so that you understand the format for what I'm using in the training tonight. So, you know, time will go by, and if you don't see me doing anything, I'm doing a lot, actually. I'm just not able to do anything at the time because the market has not given me what I'm looking for yet. What I'm waiting for, I should say. So, like I said, y'all ask questions in the interim. And all of that good stuff. That was Oh, that was Singh. Okay. Nah, this ain't the Juice Man tonight, though. I know that y'all enjoyed seeing him. Juice Man is back in his cage, where he gonna stay. All right. Nope. 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 This is all next right now. Next. So when you guys are utilizing the quick lens, the purpose of that is to dismiss activity in the market that does not reflect what we're waiting for. That's the purpose of the quick lens, to dismiss it as quickly as possible. When you're using the quick glance, and there's a reason to actually look in more detail at what the market is doing, all that is a pivot for you, because it's a reason to look further, but the market is either going to dismiss you at a later time, or it's going to give you more information with regards to the market getting closer to or further away from being stable. So just imagine that you just came on the platform, just as an example. Quick glance allows you to do phase one. You're doing it. As soon as you get on, when you start at 130, if you see that there's too much speed, it's next immediately. So you're already in phase one. So what I'm getting at is that every time that you utilize the quick glance, I know that some of you feel like, oh, well, you know, if I do the quick glance, I'm going to miss out on stuff. No, you're not. If you do the quick glance, you're actually going to fully clarify what the market is doing at the time, and you're not going to give any attention to any type of activity outside of what we're waiting for. Period. And what that means is that the juice man is nowhere to be found. You see what I'm saying? There's no purpose for him at all, because you're not doing anything else. You're not doing no extra stuff. Oh, let me pull up my charts, see what's happening. Oh, well, this one right here looks like a valid trade. There's no valid trade if the market ain't stable. Period. So that's what I'm giving you right now. I'm doing the quick glance, and I'm actually going to give you some things to look for when you're actually doing a visual look on the chart for those of you who are newer, because I know that many of you are more visual than anything, and the visual helps you, especially in the beginning. So you're going to actually be doing both. I'm doing the quick glance, which means you'll be doing the quick glance, and I'm also giving you a tool to use when you pull the chart up. But you're only going to pull the chart up if it is conducive to what we're waiting for as far as stability being present in the market. So that's why I said from the beginning of the training that I'm going to focus on the range of stability. You don't have to know what that means yet. I'm going to show you what it means. All right, alarm is on point. Nope. Nope. Done. Next. Next. Matthew said, I hope everyone realizes you're not going to see a secret. You already do this. Hopefully you're not watching multiple markets, though. Yes. And just to reiterate, the reason that I have multiple markets up is because I'm training you. So some of you are not in a particular pair, but I'm looking at your pair also. So whatever your pair might be, you'll see me pull it up if it's relevant at the time. If there's a reason for me to look at it, I'm going to. If the market is presenting stability on it, I'm going to have it up. So that's what I'm doing in the training. But you should be focused on whatever your individual market is. So if your market is next, your market is next. Walker pricing is all the way up north while indicative is visiting the equator. Two completely different time zones right now. Yep. Ramon, what DQs appear first through the quick glance under the minute mark, pricing or the indicative? A question for the newbies. It's a good question. So Ramon's question is, what DQs what DQs your market or your binary first when you're doing the quick glance? If you're looking at the market under the minute mark, what's the first thing that's going to disqualify? Is it going to be the option pricing? JT said it depends, most likely option pricing. Akari said, if I see no pricing, I'm out. Not looking any further. Why would you not see pricing? Excellent. Very good, man. Wow. See, all right, so y'all ain't newbies. Akari, JT, y'all can't be responding if I say newbies. Because y'all just giving the meat. Now, you don't have to apologize. I know. Nope, no apologies necessary. But I always enjoy your responses because you guys are elevated now, and you know it's obvious. Like the stuff that you'll be saying, I'll be like, damn. That's how you know who be really training. Yeah. That's like a rite of passage. If I tell you that you can't answer no more, that's a rite of passage right there. That is a fact. Rich said that's why he been on the low. He ready to answer everything. No, that was Walker acting crazy. Just ignore that. Talking about he knew what's MRMH. That's exactly why I ignored that. But that was a very good question, and the response was excellent. Very, very good responses. Let's see now. Euro just must be off the chain somewhere. Hey, look at this. There's no pricing anywhere. Come on, man. I don't even know where it is. Somewhere in the stratosphere. All right, let me look at this quickly. Kinda, sorta. Let me see. Okay, let me use this one. So this is the dollar yen. What I'm doing right now is I'm just actually going to draw lines. So I'm drawing lines. So 109.456. And I think that's 452. Right there. Okay, that's 452. So I'm just pointing, excuse me, I'm pointing something out right now that represents a range. Okay? Now I have that drawn on the chart. I'm going to just leave it there. We're going to continue. I'm going to come back to that. Makari, I thought that was the new person. That's why I said 301. Well, that was the right answer. That was the correct answer. Damn, it seemed like I was about to ask something. It'll come back to me. No, not yet. I did what I wanted to just now on the chart visually, but I'm gonna come back to it. Gonna come back to that. Okay. If it appears on the radar, I'll see it. See, like I'm doing this intentionally now. I'm not looking at anything. Right now I'm doing the quick glance, and everything that I pull up is going to be through the quick glance. So I'm not even going to know unless it's relevant. If it's relevant, then I go further, because this is the same way that you guys should do the quick glance. That's why it's the quick glance. what this does is it turns everything else into just noise and activity that's going on until you have a reason to put the goggles on and take a closer look. And even then, the market will either dismiss you again, or it'll give you a reason to remain there to look further. But remember that all of this is just simply recognition and identification of stability in the market, which is always the first two phases, is it not? What's phases 1 and 2 equal when they're confirmed? Stability. So we're literally simplifying the whole process of recognizing stability and confirming phases 1 and 2 through the quick lens. We talked about this yesterday, about how much time you actually spending on the charts, on the platform. When it's all said and done, it's not that much time. Nope. Nope. And even right now, without looking at the chart yet, on the dollar yen, it's not stable. Period. It's not stable, and also the range is gone. I'm gonna pull the chart up. I'm gonna go back to what I had drew the lines in, because I want to show you why I did that, and then I want to point out what it's doing now. So if I wasn't showing you anything, this would just be simply next. But I'm going to show you why I drew the lines. So I drew these lines over here, and I'm actually going to box in the area that I used. It was this. Wait, what the hell is that? That ain't what I meant to do. It was this right here. It was this area here. The top line is just simply the top of this movement here on this candle. Bottom line is just the bottom movement of this candle right here. It's 4 micropips from top to bottom. 456 to 452. This is a range. If stability is present in the market, when the market ranges, what it will do is it will either remain inside of the range or it moves into a new position. When it's moving into a new position, it can do one of two things. Either remain stable or become unstable. Now, without doing much, I already saw that it was becoming unstable. Already knew that just from looking at the indicative just now before I pulled the chart up. Okay? So this visual process right here that I just did is for you to recognize when the range is present and also to recognize when the range is actually stable. In other words, the movement between the range is stable. If that stability still remains intact, when it moves into a new position, you'll see that stability will be in the new position that it moves to as well. If it doesn't do that, it becomes unstable. That's it. It's that simple. So like how I drew this out, that was a range. It was stable for that binary. Here it began to move into a new position. Started becoming unstable right here. By the time we got over here, it was still unstable. Right now, at this point, I'm back to the quick glance, starting over. And the only time that I'm going to pull up a chart is if I'm seeing a reason to look further, and the first thing I'm looking for is to see if it's in a range. Why am I doing that? Because when the market stabilizes, it has a tendency to create ranges. I didn't say it always does that. It has a tendency to create ranges. And if you're new, it's easier to see a range than it is to try to figure out if it's stable within more movement in the market. Right? Think about it. When you're new, it's easier to see this. This is easier to recognize. Trying to figure out why it's doing this, you see this, like, oh man, it was down here, then it moved up, so it's like it reversed. Instead of you going through that whole process, oh yeah, it looks kind of jerky. We already know that it's jerky, but instead of going through that whole process, you just stay within the quick glance, and you only come to the chart visually if you see the range forming. If you don't see a range forming, more than likely there's too much movement and there's nothing for you to do anyway. So it's going to be next. So this is a tool that's going to help you. So that just now was on the dollar yen. So I'm going to just keep doing this process. I'm going to look at each individual market, and if I see a reason to look further, then I'll pull the chart up, like I said. It's the pound dollar I'm looking at right now. I'm going to glance at the chart. It's not quite where I want it to be at. Next. See how fast I nexted it? Next. Now, if you're thinking, oh, well, why'd you next it? You know, why don't you look at that and analyze it? There's nothing to analyze. For one, it's out of position. Two, it was also out of sync. So if you looked at it just from the perspective of being in phase 3 alone, let's assume that the market at this point in time is stable. There's still nothing to do because it's still out of sync. So you see how I can stay in the quick glance and I'm able to do everything that we're being trained to do by using that one tool. Just a quick glance alone, I see it all. And what I'm giving you now as far as being able to recognize a range of stability, the range is going to help you visualize when the market is slower and ultimately becoming more stable. Or I should say ultimately becoming stable. Remember that it's not like a light switch. You don't just turn it off and on. It transitions into stability. So you really want to do the least when it comes to spending time trying to figure out if it's stable. When you see a range, the range is letting you know that if there is a range of micro pip movement that the market is moving within, and you're seeing that the market is sticking inside of that range, that right there alone is stability. And the stability within that range. Then everything plays its part. Because what will happen is when the market is stable and it has that range activity going on, when it positions itself relative to a strike, guess what you're going to see on option pricing? You're going to see favorable pricing. And when you see favorable pricing doing the quick glance, that's a reason to pull up the chart now. When you pull up the chart, you see the range. Oh, the market is ranging. Stable. Wow. That puts you even more now in a better position, because now if it's in position and it's in a stable range, now if there's pricing, it's also in sync. And if within the range it meets the parameters, guess what? MRMH. Follow through. So it's like I'm giving you a mechanism to use that does not waste time. Instead of wasting time, what it does is it actually reduces your chart time and the time that you're spending on the platform wondering. You don't have to wonder. If you're doing this quick glance, you nexting until it gives you a reason to look. Then when you look, when you pull up that chart, if you see big, long candles, that ain't ranging. You know that means that there's either velocity or speed in the market. But mind you, you would have seen that already. You already would have seen that just looking at the indicative. You would have saw speed. So you see what I'm saying? You don't even have a reason to pull up the chart when you're doing the quick glance unless there's a reason to pull up the chart. If you're seeing speed but there's pricing, you ain't pulling up nothing. It's next. You're seeing speed. It ain't nothing to look at. Next. And you keep nexting until the market slows down. When the market slows down to the point where it actually begins to present ranges that are stable, now when you pull up that chart, you see the visual representation of that. For newbies, you know, eventually you won't even need the chart to see it. But if you're new, I'm giving this to you as an exercise to use because I know that you're going to use the chart anyway. So being that you're going to use the chart, I'm giving you a specific way to use the chart so that you don't get confused. You ain't going to start looking at candles. You only want to be able to recognize stability, period. Like right now, I'm looking at this the dollar yen again. I'm looking at this. Looking at the indicative. When I pull the chart back up, I'm expecting to see a range. Just looking at this. See? So when I pull the chart up, look at what you see. You see a range, don't you? Look at how this is shortcutting the whole process. So now, if I take my lines, and again, tool. This is a tool. So if I'm starting from here, and I'm just going along with where the market actually moved to, that right there is, that's actually like 7 micros. And now I was doing this, so it's moving outside of that anyway, so then I would just stop because it's moving outside of the range. Go back to quick glance. Anytime that the market is doing too much, it's giving you a reason to next it and to stop what you're doing and start over. Rinse and repeat the process from the beginning again. Because what happens is once the market gets in position and it does what it needs to do, it's going to either do that or it's not. If it's not doing it, then what are you doing? Like don't even entertain anything that's going on if the market is not presenting you with what you're waiting for. Next it. That's a habit that you're creating. That's a good habit to have. The next habit. Let me come back to the comments real quick. Rich said it's like a strainer for the bull crap. Yep. Very good analogy. Ramon, pinpoint focus on what's clearly a stable environment while option pricing is getting in sync. Right. Walker, this one took 10 seconds to next, way better than watching for the whole 5 minutes. Exactly. Price and position weren't as distant on that 11 p.m. GU. Got you. Michelle says, so technically we would want to see those small ranges like you showed us, and then we should see a breakout, which means there's a momentum in a certain direction? No. Doesn't have to be a breakout. When stability is within a range, you can have everything that we look for happen inside of a range. All because the range is positioned properly relative to the strike price. Like that, like just think about it for a second. If the market's in a 3 micropip range, and then it positions itself 3 to 4 micropips above or below the strike, if it moves within the range, which is likely to do if there's stability, that is going to give you the 5+1. 5+1 is the first parameter once you've done your 130 check. So when you under the minute mark, 5+1 is the first parameter. You can get 5+1 if the market is ranging and stable, all because it's positioned properly relative to the strike price. So even if it don't break out or move anywhere else, if all it continues to do is stay within that range that it's in, because it's positioned properly relative to that strike, if that syncs up with the option pricing, you'll see option pricing also, and you'll have the rest of your parameters met. Because remember, when the market is stable, it does not do certain things. All candles have to be all green or all red. No, no. Don't even think of it in terms of colors on the candles. That's why I'm drawing the lines, so that you can just look top to bottom and see the distance of the range. And this is only to give you an idea. Sometimes the range might be 2 micropips. The colors of the candles are irrelevant. It's what the market's doing right now. So this is only relevant ultimately when it comes time to actually apply the process. So at that 130 mark, you're doing the same thing that you normally would do. If the scenario that I'm giving you plays itself out, at 130 you'll see pricing on the option first because of the quick glance. You see pricing here. When you look at the indicative will be somewhere either near that 5+1 area, or it'll be positioned to give you the 5+1. It might be starting at 3 or 4 away from the strike, and you'll see 3, 4, 5 +1, or it might start out at 5. You see +1, and the range might be 2 micropips or something like that. If it positions itself 5 micropips away from that strike price, and then gives you the +1 within that 2 micropip range that it's in already, that's 5+1. And mind you, the only reason you even looked is because there was pricing. And the reason that there was pricing is because it was in sync. Does that make sense? Walker said, looking at the candles kind of reminds me of when Neo on the Matrix asked Morpheus if he'd be able to dodge bullets. Trying to determine a trade based on candles is like trying to dodge bullets. But when you understand stability, you won't have to. Woo-hoo. Yep. Yep. And Michelle, remember that this is a tool, but this is not anything different than what you're already being trained to do. What it is a different perspective on it. One that actually will probably help you, because when you're newer, you have more of a tendency to pay attention to the chart. When you're new, you're doing this. You just got a chart up. You know, you're looking, all right, all right, I see a wick on that one. I think that was a back tick. That would look like a reverse hold. Like you're trying to interpret the candles that you're seeing. What I'm helping you to do with this tool that I'm giving you now, I'm helping you to isolate a moment in time when the market stabilizes. And what happens is when the market stabilizes for a period of time, it falls within the range. It does this by nature. Remember that the environment that we're waiting for is slow to begin with. And in addition to that, once the market environment slows down, it has a tendency to fall within ranges. If those ranges are positioned properly relative to the strike, guess what you'll see on the option pricing when it syncs up? You'll see favorable pricing. Now when you apply the parameters, it makes sense to apply the parameters because the time is right. The actual time is right. I'm going to run through this real quick. Alright, so Euro, let me take another look at. Dollar Yen, we already know is out of position. So the Euro, alright, so on the Euro, I'm going to pull up the chart on the Euro in a second. And see, notice how I don't pull up the chart right away. This process that I'm doing is not for the purpose of trying to identify a trade or anything. This is to recognize stability. And if stability is present and the market is ranging, that's a visual tip that the market is giving you, letting you know it's stable. And when you know what the range of that stability is, now when that range moves, and what do I mean by that? When it moves to a new position, if that position is relevant to the strike, and it falls within range of that strike, now you got a 2 micropip range that's stable, that's in position relative to the strike. So now when you come back at 130 on another binary and you seeing favorable pricing, you seeing the indicative is where it's supposed to be, then you get the +1, you're like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. Yep. And not only is it what you've been waiting for, but you saw everything that led up to it because of this process that I'm giving you right now. So look at this. This is the Euro. So I would do the same thing again. I would just line up the range. So the top is 349. Bottom is about 344. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 candles back over here. So from top to bottom, that's about a 5 micropip range. If you want to come closer, then use this one. Use the bottom of this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. That's 5 minutes. That's a 3 micropip range, top to bottom, on the Euro. Now, when you look and see where it's positioned, look at where the position of the actual price is right now. It's 3 away from the strike, and it's within a 3 micropip range, top to bottom. So by the time that the 130 rolls back around, go back to the quick glance, because now you mark the chart, but you don't need the chart right now. Just wait for 130 and see if you have pricing. If you do have pricing, look and see where the indicative is. And then you continue to apply the protocol from there. See, because during this time, if the market decides to move to a newer position, it could move to a position that puts it more in position to give you the 5+1. And if the market does that, it does that. If it don't, it don't. Either way, you know that you're looking at the market while it is actually stable, though. The stability is present. And that's the prerequisite to everything happening anyway. So why even waste your time looking at the market when it's moving fast, when it's doing too much, when it's jerk? You see what I'm saying? Like, if it's not stable, why are we even looking at it? We don't have to look at it. This tool right here forces you to do that. And it keeps you away from the nonsense that the market can present at times. Michelle, so we get favorable pricing when the market conditions are stable, and then by applying the parameters. You get favorable pricing when the market is in sync with the options. That's when you'll see pricing on the option, and that's when it will be favorable. At the time that the market is stable. So when the market is stable, favorable pricing appears when it's in sync. And then you would apply parameters, yes. Then you would apply parameters. And that's exactly right. Akari said, it's all to recognize the right time. Yes. Yes. See, because let me give you an example of when somebody might do something. Juice Man loved to trade. Juice Man be trading when the market's not stable, though, because he's applying parameters. That's what I don't want you to do. Don't worry about the parameters first. Don't worry about that. If you just put yourself in position to recognize stability first, you need to see what stability looks like first. Seeing a range is showing you a visual representation of stability on the chart. I want you, like, look at where I have my line drawn. The market is still inside the same range. It's been in the same range since back here. Look at this. Look at how long this is all stability right here, all of it. Now, the only issue is that the position of the market during this time is too close to the strike. It's too close to the strike. If this was to move to a newer position, and let's say it moved 2 micropips lower than where the bottom of this is, if it positions itself there and then it follows this same trajectory of stability where it's ranging top to bottom by, say, 3 micropips. Now what will happen is if 130 rolls around and it's in position down here, and then you have favorable pricing, and then you get a +1 on your indicative, what's that? That's your parameters being met. But that's not just parameters being met. That's your parameters being met at the right time. The market's stable. So if you got the parameters met at the right time, if you were going to pull the trigger, I'd rather you do it then. But you can't do that if you're not recognizing stability first. See, you would never take that trade. Even with the parameters met, you wouldn't take it because you would be focusing on parameters all day and just doing parameters in all type of market movement versus doing it when the market's actually stable. You can mess up when the market is stable and still win your trade. That's the point that I'm making. I want you to realize something. And let me just box this in real quick. I want to just show you something real quick. I'm going to box this whole area in. This whole time, the market's been inside this range. Coincidentally, this range is under the 1035 strike price. Top to bottom is a 3 micropip range. Under the strike. You hear what I just said, right? Under the strike. So that means that this whole time, the market has remained under that strike price. If for some reason you happen to take a trade during this time, this is a stable market. This would be the right time to take a trade if you did. I'm not saying, hey, you know, just take it. I'm not saying that. But you know how you accidentally get into a trade when the market's moving fast? I'd rather you accidentally get into a trade when the market looks like this. I'm just saying. Because this represents the right timing. This is a stable time in the market. If you're going to mess up at the right time. And yes, it's clearly an indication that the market is determined in these parameters. These are the parameters that the market gave. Look. The market gave you these are the parameters. 3 micropips in the range top to bottom, and the position is under the strike. Those are the parameters that have been set during this whole time, and it's still doing it. It's still doing it. It's just like if I say, hey, you think it's going to stay underneath the strike? You think it's going to hold? What would your answer be? You got 40 seconds left. And you're looking now, you're like, well, I would say no, it's not going to hold. But this is actually good because now if it's moving, you see how it's moving now. If this moves into a new position, now we can start over. But you see the duration that this lasted for. This basically lasted for 1, 2. It lasted for 2 solid binaries where it remained underneath. And just now on this last one, it moved into a new position. But again, see, with practice, what happens is when you're able to recognize that the market is stable, you know what you're waiting to see. You're waiting to see it get in position, and when it gets in position, favorable pricing is there. That means it's in sync. Boom. That's going to be your MRMH or your follow-through trade. So now it's in a new position. What was the range over here? It was 3 MP. So if it's going to hold this position, it'll remain in a 3 micropip range, more than likely. And if that's the case, what do you think will happen this time? Now it's on top of the strike. So this is good for you to visualize the way that stability ends up looking on the chart when the market starts to range. The reason that the market is ranging is because it's stable. The market can't range if it ain't stable. If it's not stable, it's moving all over the place. And the distances are bigger because the market is doing more traveling across the platform. Price moving all over the place. So as you begin to become clearer on stability, stability is like serenity. That's the perfect word to use for it. Serenity. It's the peace. There's not a whole lot going on. Oh, I'm going to go over here and I think I'm going to just go here and just chill. That's what the price is doing. Right. That is exactly, Nico. Exact. That's why the parameters are there. The parameters are there so that you don't have to try to figure out what the parameters are that the market is giving at the time. You don't have to do that. You have solid parameters that you can rely on that you know are going to win a trade. Period. Shani said yes, very peaceful. Yep. Right. If you waited for the full parameters, you would have been fine. That is exactly right. Yep. So I'm doing this again. So far the bottom of the range is 352. Top of the range is 353. So it's literally inside of a 1 micropip range right now. It's just 1 micropip. And the distance away from the strike at the top of it is 3 micropips away. You see what I'm saying? It's 3 micropips above the strike within a 1 micropip range. That's what the market is doing right now. And that's stability. So the fact that it's stable, that's what we want first. Now, you just wait. How do you wait? Come back over here, quick glance it again. So, for example, on this one, this is next. On the euro, next. Is it stable? Yes. Is there a trade? No. So what are we supposed to do? Wait. That's it. That's it. Nico said, looks like if you wanted to use the parameters the market is dictating, it's better to take it early in the shift. That's one way to look at it. But one of the reasons that you want to wait for synchronization is because of that. You don't want to be forced to have to take it early. That's where people begin to get lost when they try to do it the way that I just described. Now you're trying to force your way in. Oh, I had to take an early entry. No. If you had to take an early entry, that means that you didn't wait long enough. If you wait long enough, the market will position itself where it needs to be and give you the money. You ain't going to have to do nothing early. Just wait. Just wait. I'll be right back. All right. Akari said that means the market didn't give it to you. You took it. Right. Right. Forcing your way in is something that you don't have to do. You really don't have to do that. There's going to be plenty of opportunity that the market gives you where you won't need to do that. The tools give you actually a lot more stress-freeness, like stress-freeness. This process eliminates stress. You see speed, I'm out. You see instability at any level, I'm out. You start seeing some ranges, you know stability is there. Once ranges are there, all they got to do is get in position now. If it gets in position and syncs up, bang. That's our trade. That's our MRMH, and that's our follow-through. Yep, patience and discipline. Akari said, ultimately means you might be taking a slap as well. Nigo said, when sync and stability are met, there is no slap. That's a fact. That is a fact. Oh, excuse me. Euro's next. On the Aussie, I'm looking at the indicative. Now, mind you, when I go through these pairs, if I'm looking at the pair for the first time, I'm doing what you see me do now. I'm just looking at this. And I'm already getting an idea of whether or not there's a potential range that this is in, just by the way that it's moving. So let me give you a good example. So far I saw 5 at the height, 2 at the bottom. So far, so that's 3 micropips top to bottom, right? And then it's ending at 3. So it went from 5 down to 2, and it ends at 3 or 4. So first of all, the movement is not stable. If I glance at the chart, I'm expecting to see a small candle with a range of 3 micropips, but that could just be that particular candle. It doesn't mean that it's been in the range. I know that already. I didn't even look at the chart yet. So what I can do is I don't even got to pull up the chart if I don't want to, because I know that the market was unstable right there. Follow along with me. I just saw that it was not stable. During the last minute, it was not stable just now. I don't even really have to pull up the chart if I don't want to. And I don't want to, just because of that. So I'm next in it. Does that make sense? You see how much time I'm saving? Mind you, I ain't pulled the chart up. I don't even know what it looks like and don't care. It's not stable. I'm out. JT, synchronization gives the time needed. Remember, the quick glance wouldn't even be given consideration over the 130 left. It would be next. Exactly. The range tool comes after the quick glance. Exactly. Oh, excuse me. Stan, I'm not sure what you're asking. Give a quick on setting up the timer for, what's the GC, the group chat? I'm not sure what your question is. You asking how to set up the timer? I think that's what you're asking. Okay. I'll do that, and so that way it'll be on the recording. All right, so this is the timer. You just paste the link, it opens up the timer. And what you do is you wait until the clock on Nadex is right around 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. I would say wait until the clock is right around 20 seconds left over here. And you come back here and you hit the green start button. And that will activate this timer. And what will happen is every minute and 30 left on here, you'll hear this go off. Like we getting closer to 1:30 now, you're going to hear it go off in my ears. Let me turn the volume up so you'll hear it in a second. As we get close to 1:30. See? You heard it? So it just went off. Now I come back at the charts right around 1:30, and I go through the quick glance. If I'm looking at the Aussie, it's next. If I'm on the Euro, that's my market. Right here, I might look at the indicative and just see what this is doing. If I'm on the pound, next. If I'm on the dollar yen, it's hugging the strike, but I might look to see what the indicative is doing. See what I'm saying? I know what I'm looking at. See, it's right there, speed burst, next. If I'm on the yen, if the yen was my market, I'm next in it. If the euro is my market, this is right around where it was when I first started looking. So I'm still looking at this indicative. And I'm looking to see where the market is traveling to. Mind you, I ain't pulled up the chart yet. So I don't even know what the chart looks like yet. But I had a reason to look just now. So I'm looking. Now I'm seeing it been right around 4748 for the duration. So this actually might be within a range. I'm going to find out when I pull up the chart. If it's in a range, cool. If it's not in a range and it's just this candle, I'm out. So I pull up the chart, lo and behold, it's in the range. So then if I want to box it in, I can look and see what the range is. So from the top, 349, and really the bottom is right down here, 344. So that's about 5 micropips from top to bottom. And this is actually cool because where it's positioned right now, if it comes back up to where this purple line is, that's going to put it right around 5, 6 micropips underneath this line. And if it stays in that range and it tightens up even more, by the time we come back to 130, it might be in position. You see, like the way that the market moves, you don't know what it's going to do and where it's going to move to. But what's important in this whole dialogue is the fact that we know that it's presenting stability. Once it presents stability, that's the first step. Now it just needs to get in position. Once it gets in position, it needs to get in sync. Once it gets in sync, parameters need to be met. Once that happens, that's MRMH. If we already had MRMH, if that happens again, that's the follow-through trade. Bang. So you see how there's order and structure to everything that we wait for, and the tools give you the peace of mind of knowing that you're never going to miss nothing. You didn't see me pull up the chart each time. I only pulled up the chart when I had a reason to look. My reason just now for looking at the euro is because of what the indicative was doing. My reason for looking at the indicative is because of where the pricing was on that last binary. I looked at option pricing. When you do the quick glance, you're looking at option pricing. If the option pricing is giving you some type of pricing, it's letting you know that the location of the indicative is relevant to the strike price. When you look at the indicative, that should be the case. If that's the case, you continue to watch. As you continue to watch, without even pulling the chart up yet, you know where the actual indicative is and what the range is. You're going to see it. It's going to be stable movement, and it might be 1, maybe 2 micropips of movement. That's letting you know, all right, this is probably in a range. If it ain't in a range and it's just this candle, how am I going to know? Pull up the chart. Pull up the chart, you see it, boom. Oh, there's a range. All right, cool. Then when you actually look at what the range is, your range might be 3, 4, 5 micropips, whatever it is. Now you have an idea of where the market has actually traveled and what the range is of that stability. You know it's stable. You know what the range of the stable movement is because the market is showing you. Look at how much information that you just collected. Now, once again, go back to the quick glance. Then you come back to the quick glance. Now you're back at the quick glance again. And now you just wait. See? When you come back to the quick glance, you don't have price in here, it's next. See? If this was favorable pricing, then you would have a reason again to look. But it's not. It's priced out. What is that telling you? It's out of sync. What is that telling you? Next. And this is how you just boom, 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 boom. One after the other. You won't even spend no time doing nothing else. Nico, the GU was pretty close to MRMAs. The pricing was a bit off. On the last one? On which one? 1140? Sorry about that. Oh, back a few before that. Did I have the chart up at that time or no? For the GU. Seemed like I had the chart up. But maybe that wasn't for the pound. Dallas said, doing this, you'll always see good behavior at the end because of the range of stability. Correct. Thank you. Very good point, Dallas. Very good point. This is so powerful. Okay. Ooh, excuse me. He said it was at 11:35. All right. And when you're looking at your market only, like right now, I'm looking at 4 markets because I want to see what it looks like when I do the process on whatever market. I want you to see it. But I'm not doing it like this so you can do it like this. I'm only doing this now for the purpose of training because different people are on different markets. And I want to be able to see and navigate whatever your market is so that you can see it for yourself if it happens in your market. Like tonight we saw the dollar yen. I pulled up a chart for that. I pulled up the chart for the Aussie. Oh, no, actually the euro. I didn't pull up the chart for the Aussie because I didn't need to. On the Aussie, I saw it was unstable and I left it alone. I nexted it. And that's exactly what you should be doing. If there's no reason to look, don't. Let the market give you a reason to look. And what it does is it keeps your brain clear. Because when you clutter your brain up, that's when you start doing extra shit. When you keep your brain clear, you only do this. Which means when things line up and it comes, you'll be right there to see it. Because you're not doing anything else. Focus. Yep. Exactly. Rich said the reason to look is just to look further. Bingo. Right. Looking doesn't mean that you're trading. Just looking. Good stuff, man. I'm telling you, man, yo, you gotta understand, like, the way that these tools are coming together, like, mind you, this is one tool that I'm giving you right now. It's one tool. Quick glance is easy to do. Identifying a range is easy to do. You know what a range looks like on the chart. You're visual. You know what's going on if the market is in a range like that. Stability's going on. If stability's going on, that's giving you a reason to look. If you have a reason to look, it's giving you a reason to look further. Just like Rich said. And that's the structure. That's the order. And you just rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. That's it. And you'll see that everything becomes easier. Mind you, like I said, you do all of this already. But it's like having delegation of knowing when to do it. There's no need to always be doing the play-by-play. It's a powerful tool, absolutely. If you're just on a chart, you can run the play-by-play, and it will be very effective, and it will bring you to the same destination that this will. Every tool brings you to the same place. The reason that I wanted to implement this tool is because I know that this will help the new people more than anyone. Because newer people are more visual. They got the chart up. But look at what I'm giving you. When you do this, you don't start with the chart, do you? The only time you're going to end up on the chart is when you have a reason to. That's how powerful this tool is. You guys are learning how to read the market without the chart. Now the chart just becomes a visual aid for you. Yes, I like how you put that. JT says stability locator. Yes. Stan said put all the tools together and you're unstoppable. Yep. And literally, it's all the same tool. Correct. It's just like how 10 people looking at the same thing got 10 different perspectives. It's only one thing that they're looking at, though. It seems like it's 10 things. But they all looking at the same thing. We know that. Nico said the hardest tool to master is your own mind. That's the only, as a matter of fact, that's the only thing that you're going to master. Because you're not going to master the market. So you might as well just sit down somewhere and relax and learn how to control yourself. Implement these tools so that you don't be stressed out and you won't be thirsty. And only receive when the market is given. Don't try to take nothing. That's it. Let it come. All right, so this training will be available about a half hour. We'll be back on training tomorrow night, same time, same place. And I see your guys' questions. Do you think that Nadex will not have charts when they roll out the new platform? No, they're going to keep charts. Yeah, I mean, they got to have charts. Everybody's not team aligned. Everybody ain't us, man. Dre said, do both sides of the range change once it's been broken, or just the side that was passed up? I'm not really understanding that question. Do both sides of the range change? once it's been broke. Try to ask that another way, because I don't understand what you mean. The top and bottom of the range? And you're saying, does it change once it's been broken? Oh, like does it increase? I think I understand what you're asking. In other words, does the range change when the market moves to a new position? That's what you're asking? When it moves into a new position, you don't know if it's going to create another range or if it's going to keep moving. So you got to wait. So even after you see a range, this is why this exercise and this tool is powerful, because it does not require that you keep the chart up. Like, I want you to take the chart down. If you draw your lines out and you isolate in your range, close the chart and then start over with the quick glance again. Start from scratch. Go back. Don't even come back to the chart unless you have a reason to come back to the chart. When you come back to the chart, whatever the reason was to come back, if it's because the market is still stable and the market is still ranging, you'll see what it is. Instead of trying to guess what it's going to be. You don't have to even guess. Just wait. Let the quick glance give you the reason by what you're seeing for coming back to the chart. Like right now, just on the pound, just right now, for example, I'm looking at the indicative. I already saw that on the option pricing that is out of sync. I saw that already. But I'm looking at the indicative now. And based on what I'm seeing the indicative do right now, I know that this is either this candle presenting stability or it's in a range. And when I pull the chart up, I'm going to see. So that you see how that held at the 7? That range just now was, I think, either 9 or 8 and 7. So about 2 or 3 micropips. So now when I pull up the chart, that was just for that candle. See? So that was just this. That was just this. You see all of this that preceded this. So now this can be creating a range here. And if that's the case, cool. If not, that's cool too. Well, how am I going to know? Well, I ain't going to sit here and just watch it. I'm going to close the chart and I'm going to start back over again. Start over. Quick glance. Right back to it. Wait for this to get to 130. If it's giving me a reason to look, you know that that's going to start with your pricing. If everything was to line up and to sync up, you'll see pricing here. You'll see the market in position here relative to the strike. And you'll be able to do that without the chart. This is what I'm saying. The quick glance is what is just opening up your view and expanding your ability to see stability through the use of this tool. It's helping you to see stability. So just like let's put this last one that we just saw in perspective. It wasn't in a tight range, but that last minute of that binary was stable. What does that mean? All right, that was stable, but is it going to get in position on the next one? We don't know that. Is the next one going to be in a range? We don't know that. What do? Wait. Well, how are we going to know? Quick glance. Huh? What do you mean? Mark's going to let us know if we should go and take a look again. See, the thing about it is that the market is going to let you know anyway. So why not just wait for that information? Just let the market do what it's doing. You don't got to try to force it. Oh man, the market was stable, man, but it didn't give me a trade. All right, so what? There was no trade. It was stable, but there was no trade. Cool. It is what it is. But you're not trying to force your way into a trade. There's no need for you to do that. Just wait. And that's the whole process, and that's what we rinse and repeat over and over again. All right, so that's pretty clear. This was a good training tonight. Very good training. This is going to be eye-opening for a lot of you later, too. Some of you won't really get it right away, but I would recommend that you watch it on the replay a few times, because that tool is going to help you. When you keep it simple and you just keep yourself in position to recognize the market being stable, that ensures that you'll wait for everything to line up once it is stable. Yep, definitely, man. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. All right, so I will see you guys momentarily in the group chat, and I'll see you guys on training mañana. No doubt. Dre said he blushing. All right, y'all. Love, peace, and soul. Yeah, about a half hour, Michelle.